Welcome to the Modernize or Die podcast, CFML News Edition, where we keep you up to date with everything going on in the ColdFusion community. We'll share the latest news on events, releases to engines, frameworks, libraries, and tools, as well as spotlighting quality content from the community.
Hello and welcome to the Modernize or Die podcast, CFML News Edition. It is August 2nd, 2022. This is episode 159, and I am Eric Peterson, and with me is Daniel Garcia. How you doing, Daniel?
Hey, Eric. I'm doing great. Thank you for asking.
You are welcome. Glad to have you here. And
Me
thank
too.
you to our sponsor, Ortus Solutions, the makers of all your favorite box products out there. ColdBox, CommandBox, ForgeBox, TestBox, and many more. You can say thank you by coming into the box. It is in a month. We're very excited and also very nervous now. With 1 month left, I'm like, oh no, I have to get it done. You can like this and subscribe to our videos on YouTube, star and fork our repos on GitHub, subscribe to this podcast and our other podcasts, sign up for a free or paid account on CFCasts, which releases new content every week. Buy something from our awesome Box Life store, which is our merch store. And we are still hawking the 102 ColdBox quick tips and tricks over on Gumroad.
That's a really good book. I bought it, I read it, and I enjoyed it. So go buy it and read it and enjoy it yourself. Not you, but internet land. I see Adam is in the chat. He's saying Gavin's looking better than usual today. I'm not sure if he's talking about you, Eric, or me. I'm going to assume you and not me.
I don't know. We'll let Adam tell us.
Oh, man. As always, Patreon supporters, you can support us on there. We have 37 Patreons providing 100% of the funding for our Modernize or Die podcast. We'll get the link down there. And our goal, we're still 44% of the way to fully fund the hosting of ForgeBox. And I got some links I will post there, Eric. I got caught up in your dialoguing, and I apologize. I'll get those in a minute. But moving on to news and announcements. In case you missed it, Adobe Developer Week was last week on July 18th to 22nd. It's back. All the recordings are posted up there. It was great. Lots of sessions. Our own Luis and Gavin did their presentations as well. We'll get the links out there and take a look. And thank you, Adobe, for doing this. It's fantastic for us in the community and, well, for everybody, really.
That's right. I do believe that was 2 weeks ago now. It's kind of crazy to think it's gone that quickly. And
the show notes say last week, so I should think and not just read what's on the teleprompter.
And we will have a kind of a follow-up news from that in just a little bit in our releases section. In case you missed it, there was a neat article that our very own Brad Wood wrote about how the CFML perform compared to other languages. This is using the Tech Empower performance benchmarks, which is a set of benchmarks that any language can implement. They run a bunch of Docker containers and see the performance. So you can go see how native CFML does, both Adobe and Lucee, how ColdBox does, and compare it to all different languages. And it is probably about, let's see, mostly what you expect, which is some languages do better in some tests than others. But CFML is it's up there in many of the benchmarks, so that was fun to see.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Way to go, Brad, on getting all that. And I like how he posted that and a flurry of activity across all the different channels, and that's good. That's nice. So next, there was a Adobe ColdFusion Lucee Roundtable, Part 3, The Future of CFML, with Charlie Earhart, Gerd Franz, Mark Jern, Ben Nadell. They go ahead and talk about it's an episode of the CFAlive podcast with Michaela Light, talking about ColdFusion and Lucee and how they compare, contrast, and features and all sorts of good stuff. So check that out. Well worth the listen.
Definitely. And like I alluded to at the beginning, I guess it wasn't alluded, it was just said it right out. Into the Box is 1 month away. So if you have not gotten your tickets, now is the time. 1 month until the start of the pre-conference, the workshops, and then our 2 days of awesome content.
So have you started your presentations yet, Eric?
I'm still yes and no. I have to build the library that I'll talk about in the presentation because I'm doing mine on cues, and I'm building a companion library to help that out, and I'm really excited about it. And I think the library's like, I think we're at the like 70% mark. Like the
Okay.
coding's almost done and it's ready for docs.
Nice.
So
Nice. I
how,
need to get on in the ball here.
you got 1 month.
I have a month. Yeah, I don't want to think about that right now. Let's go on to happier things.
All right. Well, let's talk about new releases then. New releases and updates.
Okay, we do have a CF config now supports schedule tasks in Lucee. Awesome. Thank you to a sponsor for doing that. CF config now supports importing, exporting schedule tasks for Lucee server. Adobe already had it, but this is awesome that we got it in Lucee. Go ahead and give it a test. We'll get the link out there, and thank you for doing that.
Also, hot off the presses today is ColdBox 6.8.
Woohoo!
Right. So this has a few bug fixes, couple improvements, and even a couple new features. My favorites are for the async engine and scheduled tasks. They now funnel through Logbox. So if you have errors,
Nice.
it's going to Logbox. So thank goodness, because that was a little frustrating to always have to. This sounds like a big first world problem now, but to hook up my own logging, goodness. So, but now if you have errors, it will go to your Logbox error handler. All of your appenders, categories, anything like that applies.
Nice. I think you've been waiting for that for a little while now, haven't you? I feel like you've talked about that before. And
Yeah, and Luis and I have been working on improving the async engine and getting ready for our workshop coming up at Into the Box. So I think
nice.
that's one of my favorite things about giving talks and sessions and workshops is I get to improve the tools because I have to teach it. And if it doesn't do what I want, let's get it to do what I want.
Oh man, I'm still waiting for the new templates where have Eric mode, where you just get the bare minimum of what you need to be productive, versus Luis mode where you get everything, and the kitchen sink, and the Brad mode where you get most things, and a polite invitation to read the documentation. So
There you
coming,
go. Coming someday.
Oh man. Oh, Eric asked I'm sorry, Scott Steinbeck asked a question about your Playwright integration with TestBox.
Do I
If
have
you've
that
done
session as well? If so,
Oh,
it's
no.
not written yet, but I at least have the code done on that one. So, well, thank you for the reminder.
Oh man, we got a month, right? And Will, good evening to you too, sir. Okay, so another big news, the Adobe CFML VS Code extension was released. It's in public beta. So that is
Woohoo!
awesome. We'll get the link out there. I installed it. I'm starting to play with it. Eric, I think you're kind of playing with it too, and we'll probably haven't played with it enough yet to
Well,
have any good feedback yet, right?
I mean, does it work for you? I mean, I hate to do that like live on the podcast, but throughout the private beta and now in the public, I install it and none of the create a project or a server or anything buttons work. I usually get an error about the language server not starting.
I
Um,
haven't played enough with it yet. I was out
yeah,
last
I tried
and
to give feedback on during the private beta. I didn't see any fixes come out for it though, so I don't know if I'm in a special case, M1 Mac, but disable
you're
all the extensions and everything, and it just doesn't do anything.
oh Eric, you are a special case
So
every day.
yeah, well, Scott in the chat says he's having trouble as well. I know he's on the M1 Mac as well,
Scout
and
special too.
I know that they don't support Linux, like officially. So maybe this is a Nix problem. I don't know, but if you have yours working, I'd love to hear about it because it sounds great in theory.
Well, I
So
installed it, but again, I didn't play with it as much yet. I
got
was at a conference. I'm catching up.
it. No worries.
All right, so let's move on. I'm sorry I said anything. Move on. For everyone else not on a Mac, VS Code extension released in public beta. Woo!
I really want it to work just for. I mean, it has a language server back in it, and it can do things like renaming a function across your whole project. like where it's you rename it in one place in the component and it renames everywhere you're using it. That sounds amazing. Not just like fancy find and replace, but like going through an abstract syntax tree. I don't know. I hope it works. I'm excited to see what they come out with.
And to remind everybody too, on the Adobe Dev Week, there are a couple of recordings out there and sessions talking about it too. So check those out as well.
All right. Well, let's talk about some webinars, meetups, and workshops.
Awesome. Okay, so in case you missed it, our Ortus webinar from July, the legacy migration follow-up using ColdBox with an existing code base. That was July 29th last week. Dan Card presented a follow-up to his June webinar. We do have the recording out there in CFCasts. We'll get the link and go check that out. Dan is doing some awesome webinars with this, going from legacy and how to modernize and what you can do. You don't have to do it all at once. It's not a Band-Aid. You can do a very measured, staged approach for this. And so yeah, check them out.
And coming up, the next Ortus webinar will be the end of August, and it is an Into the Box preview on August 26th at 11 a.m. Central Time. So we will have a roundtable members of the Ortus team giving you a sneak preview into the workshops, the sessions, and all fun things into the box. The mariachi band. I'm not sure what else. Maybe we'll have another special dance session from Edgardo. We'll see. Now he's on the hook. I said it live on the podcast.
Yep, that means it's going to happen. Okay, so as always, we want to talk about the Adobe workshops. We have some different Adobe workshops coming up. We talk about it every week because we want to promote them every week. So the next one is Tuesday, August 9th at 9 a.m. Oh my gosh.
Australian Eastern Standard Time.
Thank you. I was looking at the show notes earlier and I saw EST. I'm like, oh, wait, I missed the A. So Australian Eastern Standard Time with Brian Sappy. We'll get the link. The next one is Thursday, August 18th, 10 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time. Making games with Adobe ColdFusion with Mark Takata. And we'll also get the list of all of them up there as well. And Scott was saying that was fun to see. I don't know what he was talking about.
The Edgardo dance.
The mariachi,
I have to guess it's the Edgardo dance. That was my favorite part.
Yes.
All right. Well, let's talk about CFCasts and what's come out this week. In Logbox, we've had one new video, sending logs to Slack with a custom appender. That was a fun video to record, showing just how Logbox can send your logs anywhere, even places we haven't even thought of yet. The Ortus webinar for July is up, as we've talked about with Dan Card, as well as the updated ForgeBox module of the week and VS Code hint, tip, and trick of the week. Coming soon, more Logbox. There are 3 videos left. There will be one dropping this week and 2 more very shortly. I'm sad to see this one done. It's been a fun one to work on.
I've been watching all these, Eric, and you're doing a really nice job on them.
Well, thank you. Coding with the Kiwi and Friends, more ForgeBox and VS Code podcast snippet videos. And then the next big series are Boxifying the third-party library from Mr. Gavin Pickin, and a series on ColdBox Elixir by myself.
I am looking forward to that one. I feel like it's one of our tools that I don't really have much visibility into. I hear everyone talking about it. Seems like the cool thing to do. I just am not cool enough yet. But someday, after I watch your video.
If you need it, you need it. If you don't, you don't. No worries.
Nice. Okay, so conferences and training. So as we mentioned before, in case you missed it, the Adobe Developer Week 2022 was 2 weeks ago, apparently, not the show notes, July 18th through 22nd. Again, we had Gavin and Louise present. We had a lot of other great presentations as well. A couple of them are on the VS Code extension, so please do check that out and let us know what you think. But thank you to everybody who presented. A lot of our friends are up there too. I'm not going to name everybody because it'd take too long, but just know that it's appreciated what you do for the community. Thank you.
Also, in case you missed it, this one was last week, was that conference. And Daniel, you were our star speaker there. How was it?
It was fantastic. Those conferences are so great. You learn a lot, but really for me, a big takeaway is just how it kind of revs you up and excites you and gets you motivated, and you come back with like a dozen things that you want to do. Of course, you can't do 12 things, but you want to do it, and that feels really cool. I did get to hang out a little bit with Ray Camden was there. We had
Oh, fun.
lunch one of the days and was at one of his sessions, and so some friendly faces. So it's always nice. But yeah, it's a great conference. It really is. I think they had about 950 people attend. Um, it was nice.
That's awesome. Glad it was a good experience for you.
Yeah, I really look forward to it. We'll see if I can do it again next year. But our next conference is Into the Box, September 6th, 7th, and 8th in Houston, Texas. Again, the one-day workshops before the two-day conference. We'll get the conference website up there. I know, Eric, you're doing a workshop. You want to just plug yourself really quick?
Yeah, Luis and I together will be doing the asynchronous workshop. So I should know the official title, but everything about async programming, especially
Scheduling.
using ColdBox's async engine, which for the record is available in our standalone Wirebox, so you do not have to have a ColdBox app to use it. And talking about transitioning from synchronous programming into the async mindset, some strategies, pitfalls, and tactics to use to make that as painless as possible.
Nice. And I'll plug my own. Well, I should say I'll plug Gavin's, but I'm going to be there as his gopher. The Vue.js SPA and mobile app with REST APIs. Workshop, we're going to build a REST API, show you all the cool things you can do with it, and then build a Quasar front end so you can interact with the REST API. We're going to be building out a video game or a game to play. If you've been hanging out, Patreon supporters, on the Coding with Kiwi, he's kind of doing some of the sneak peeks on some of the stuff and talking through some areas, and it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to that as well. A little sad that I can't go to your session, Eric, or John's session, or Dan's, or Brad's, but it's still going to be fun.
Right. There's always so much to choose from. It's hard.
That is the problem when you go to our conferences, right? So, oh well, it's a good problem to have.
Good problem to have. Yep.
So coming up after that, about a month later, is the ColdFusion Summit, October's 3rd and 4th. CF Summit Conference at the Mirage in Las Vegas. October 5th will be the ACP, or Adobe Certified Professional training and classes as well. Registration is now open. Go ahead and check that out.
And I have heard that at least some of the speaker invites are going out. Isn't that right, Mr. Garcia?
You have heard correctly. I did get an invite yesterday. I'll be doing easier API development and testing using Postman, Webhook.site, and ngrok to enhance your workflow. So I'm very excited. I've never spoken at CF Summit before. So I'm very excited, looking forward to it, and it's going to be great.
Awesome. I look forward to seeing that there in person. And we will let all of you know listening when all the speakers drop. It doesn't look like it's on their site yet. So for now, you just get the sneak peek that Daniel Garcia will be there speaking.
Yes. And I hope that's not a deterrent, because
never. Come on.
I'd be sad. Oh, by the way, it looks like Will is saying that, Eric, your workshop would be his favorite workshop. So that's nice.
Well, the good news is being an asynchronous workshop, even if it isn't right now, it could be in the future. That joke and many more available.
I see what you did there. Nice.
All right. After CF Summit, the next 2 days, October 5th and 6th, we have the Ortus CF Summit Training with Luis Mahano and Gavin Pickin. This is our ColdBox 0 to Mega Hero. I love how this just keeps getting bigger.
Mega Hero.
We had 0 to Hero, then Hero to Superhero, and now 0 to Mega Hero. I mean, we didn't even do a Superhero to Mega Hero, so you're getting everything here. REST APIs, Vue.js mobile app, ColdBox, led by Luis and Gavin. $800 early bird pricing in the luxurious Aria Executive Hospitality Suite. We would love to see you there.
Yes, we would. I'd like to go to that. I wonder if I get a discount. I'm going to work for Ortus. Or Luis is going to make me take a test first and be like, let's see how you do first, and we'll charge you accordingly. Like, oh, I'm paying full price. Okay. So after the summit, we get Into the Box Latam 2022 Latin America. It's December 5th or 7th. I thought they announced it already. Sorry. My guess is December 7th. It's a Wednesday, but I don't want to commit that in stone. More information is still coming very soon. So just know that it's that week in December. If you're in El Salvador and want to come to Into the Box Latam, I was going to say come join us in Spanish, but I'm not that far along in Duolingo to know how to say that yet. But
Better
someday,
off than me.
someday. And then we mention this all the time because it makes us sad, but hopeful. There's no CF camp for 2022, but we're hoping for summer of 2023. This just, it is what it is. We know what's going on in the world, and so we'll keep it alive. Hopefully, it'll be back.
Yep. And for any more conference needs, check out confs.tech for some of the conferences listed above and many more. Jumping into some blogs, tweets, and videos of the week, we will start off with generating common blog files with Jasper. Now, Jasper is my new favorite thing to follow along with. It is a static site generator completely written with CommandBox and CFML. And so today, Robert here said he wants to be able to generate templates just with CFML. So like other static site languages will use other template languages, Pug, Liquid, and he wants it to be CFML. And so he showed a couple where he could generate a sitemap, talked about the scopes and the metadata in there. So great read. I continue to be excited about this. I've even put in a couple pull requests to it. Mostly because I don't have a blog right now because I hate running a server I don't want to run a server for my dinky blog. So I blog on Ortus, but if I want my own, this would be awesome. I can throw it up on GitHub Pages. It's free. I don't pay any money. So I keep playing with it. It's fun.
DigitalOcean also, I think, has a free tier for static sites.
Yeah.
If you wanted to be cool. I also feel like I can't keep up with all your favorite things. You're kind of like Oprah in that regard. I feel like we need like Eric's favorite things.
That's why we have the podcast. Is each week we can have a different favorite thing.
I know we need to have it like we need, I don't know, maybe a blog entry somewhere, Eric, or a website. Eric's favorite things.
I don't have a website. That's the whole problem.
I know. A sticky note or something we can tweet or something, but yeah. Okay. Moving on. So our next post is from our own very well DeBrune. He's in the chat. Changing ColdBox module behavior without changing the module. This is pretty cool. At a very high level, if you've got a module that you're using, you like it, but you want to change some of the functionality of it, you've got really three options. One, don't, and just, live with it. Two, go into the code and change it yourself locally, which is not good because when you update, it could wipe it out. Three, do a pull request on it to see if the person will accept your change and make it permanent, which might be hit or miss. Or four, I did say three, but I really mean four. You could do what Will's suggesting and actually make your own module which extends that module, and just kind of do what you need to do to the parts you want to do, and then use the rest as is. So it's actually a really nice common way of doing it. Or let Eric change it. It's funny you say that because I was reading this and I'm like, Eric, you told me about this like a year ago when I first started with Ortus. You don't like something? Just make a new module and extend it.
Yeah, I mean, that's the beauty of open source, right? Is it's actually your code when you download it, and any changes you make are all on you. And these are good ways to do it. I think I would add the one caveat that if you are adjusting a module like this, either by committing it to your source control or using this technique of overriding a module mapping, make sure to pin your installation to an exact version of that module, because you are not guaranteed anything that's not documented. Like if you're like, I'm just thinking in QB, if you were to reach in and like switch out query utils, I can change that anytime I want. I didn't give it to you. So, yeah.
So it sounds like the best long-term options are just suck it up and live with it, or work with the committer and
I
make
think
the
there's nothing wrong with forking and putting your own, or we even have repos that we've committed different modules into it to make the changes. I think all these are good, and it just depends on the moment that you're in and what you need to do with it. So,
That's true. But regardless,
because with the PR, I as a maintainer of many projects, is every piece of code needs to be maintained, and if it's not something I understand and I'm gonna say yes, I'll maintain it, that's a huge like commitment from me. Again, especially if I don't understand exactly what the code's doing. So
same.
usually it's not your code sucks. It's just that's not what I need, and I don't want to take on the responsibility, and then you're frustrated later when I don't keep it up. So I think all of these have their place, and just because a PR is not accepted does not mean you did anything wrong or worse. Sometimes it's just, hey, the person that wrote the module doesn't need to use it that way, and so they'll let you go fork it and make your own module, and maybe yours will become the more popular one. You know?
Oh, that's true. So my
So
takeaway from what you just said, Eric, is it's a big commit, no pun intended, for you to get it, commit.
you
Anyway.
you say no pun intended, but yes, it is.
Pun intended. Or if somebody maybe slips you some Legos or some Star Wars swag with the PR, they might at least get some eyes on it. Is that the way
I don't know. I don't know. We'll have to see. I
Okay.
can be
Okay.
bought. All right. So all of this was actually, I think, piggybacked off of Will's second article or first article, as it may have been, about how to get a visitor's real IP address in CFML. Um, as he mentioned in the article, this used to be easy. You just looked at the CGI scope, but now in the world of the internet as it is today, with load balancers, CDNs, firewalls, proxies, all that, you usually have to do a few other things. X forwarded for is a kind of de facto standard header that you can see the remote IP and proxy IPs all through. Different load balancers might add their own headers in there. And so this article talks about getting that. I know that CB Security has a method for getting the real IP by going through the X forwarded for, and I believe there's even a module that Gavin wrote that's for it. But as Will said, if it doesn't do what you want, he was able to use the tricks and tools in the other article to modify CB Security to get the real IP the way he wanted it to be. So,
Yep. And I posted a link to Gavin's thing. It's funny, he actually calls it Get Real IP, which is I think what Will calls it in his blog article. So great minds think alike. So Gavin doesn't have this module yet, but he will write it. It's there. I posted it. Or maybe this is a different thing.
there's versions of it.
Oh, we'll see. Maybe it's an improvement.
March 25th, 2022. So I'm not sure what that is, Gavin, but we got it with your name on it in ForgeBox.
Hey, I'm using it. I'm using it on projects already.
Okay, there we
It's
go.
handy. It's okay. So the next one is integrating ColdBox with existing code, Series 3. The first module include our code. This is the Dan Card series we mentioned earlier. He's been doing webinars on refactoring legacy code, and a question came up about using ColdBox with existing code. And now you don't have to convert everything at once. You can kind of run them side by side and slowly migrate. And so I'm not going to go too deep into it right now, but go ahead and we'll post the link to it. Check it out. Dan's doing a great job on this. It's all going to culminate in his workshop session at Into the Box. So you see how everything kind of flows with everything else.
That's right. All right, our last article of the week is from Matthew Clemente. This is use array set to initialize an array of a specific size. So I love this because, like he said, this is very useful when creating like test information. Maybe you're putting together a demo. Maybe you are writing tests and you need an array of a certain size. And you just need it to be like a dummy array that you can loop over. Well, array set will let you say, this is how many indexes I need set in the array by default. And it will even, in the third parameter, let you put a value into it. So his example, he creates an array of 10 items, all with high in there, you know. And then you can even map after that, right? You've created 10, you can map it and do something random, put a random number in it. So you can see how you can quickly create a bunch of data instead of having to do a for loop from I1 to 10, you know? So very nifty. I love functional programming chains, so it was fun to see like that. Check out his article. He has one where he gets a random user, 3 random users using this tactic. And I do know that immediately after, there was at least, I believe, Brad and Adam Cameron both asked if there was a way to pass a function in as that third argument to supply. There are tickets in both Adobe and Lucee, but so right now you have to map after the fact. So
That's not the end of the world, but yeah, I get their point.
Yep. So yeah, thank you for that that tip. I didn't even know array set was a method. So
Either is
or
it on CF
function,
Docs?
built-in function. It sure is. CF Docs always has it. Just you just got to go dig in there someday, I guess.
I guess I'm always surprised that I didn't know this was there. This was a thing.
Right. Same.
When did this happen?
All right. So that takes us out of the blogs, tweets, and videos of the week, and we are into Find a Job. On our friends at getcfmljobs.com, there are 116 ColdFusion positions from 62 companies across 55 locations and 5 countries. This week, there were no new jobs listed, but you can still take a look at all of those open positions, as well as check out some of our other job links. Ortus Solutions has our own on our about-us/careers page. There is a job opening at Tomorrow's Guide for a senior ColdFusion developer. It's remote and UK based. And there is also the jobs channel in both the CFML Slack team and the Box Team Slack team. We should have thought that name through. Box Team Slack team.
Box team, Slack team.
All right.
Box.
Slack box. All right. Well, let's talk about our ForgeBox module of the week.
Okay, so this one is Route Visualizer. Basically, install it. It'll map out all your routing tables for any ColdBox 4 Plus application. So old school 4 Plus. Just drop into your module folder and use the box CLI to install. I said CLI again. They're gonna make fun of me.
I was just going to.
The box CLI to install. But once you install it, you go to the /route-visualizer URL, and you can see all your different routes. So it's very handy if you're doing all your API stuff, if you got modules with submodules, if you're very hierarchical, as we like to build things here at Ortus. You can kind of see all the routes, dig in, drill down, and see what's happening. Because sometimes what you think might be happening might not be happening, especially in your router config if you're not careful on the placement of your routes.
Absolutely. And when you're coming into an application for the first time, when you're coming back after a while, like the first step to debugging anything is, okay, where does this URL start? And this is a great place to go see what that would match and where you need to start looking in the code.
Or where does ColdBox think this should go versus what I think it should go?
Yeah, exactly. Yep, step 1 of debugging. All right. The VS Code hint, tip, and trick of the week is a really simple but nice one called Hungry Delete. So the impetus behind this is when you are deleting a chunk of code and you want to close the gap between them, instead of just, like highlighting in between the code to get rid of all the white space, you can use this keyboard shortcut. It's either Control Backspace on Windows and Linux or Alt Backspace on Mac, and it will delete from your cursor to the closest non-white space. So it's best shown off. So I will bring it up here on my screen. Well, you can see them doing multiple backspaces up here, trying to bring this catch up to the then. And that just is annoying. But if you come down to with hungry delete, they put their cursor on the catch, they hit the keyboard shortcut, and it jumps all the way up to the parenthesis. So if this is something that fulfills that use case for you, if you're often hitting backspace forever because of white space, this could be a very nice extension.
Nice. I feel like some of your favorite extensions are ones that allow you to have less stuff on the screen, make the code simpler and less cluttered.
I mean, my VS Code, I turn off most of the things. Like, there's the activity bar, that's gone. All the things at the bottom, that's gone. I hide the sidebar. I just want to see the code.
You want a piece of paper and a virtual pen.
I think it's just because I'm very easily distracted. It's just like, if something's over there, I'm like, especially if it has a badge, that's the worst. I'm like, what's that badge? Get that badge away. Slack has to be closed in many cases during my workday, because otherwise I'm like, wait, there's something bold on the side. I must see what it is.
I know I remember we were sharing a screen early on. You're showing me something. You're like, what the heck, dude? We have like tons of things, like a Vegas strip of like lights and blinking things and billboards and
we all work differently, so it's all good. But yes, I do hide many things.
Nice. Oh, and Adam says he likes that. So
worth
Adam's
it.
seal of approval. Will mentioned about there is a module, but it's not using other ordered modules yet, but that's what he wants to do. So okay, we'll follow up with Gavin on that.
Maybe that's a coding with the Kiwi activity. Is go make pull requests for that to be in all the different places.
Yeah, I'm having fun. I've been going to most of them when I'm available, and I'm having fun with Gavin and everyone else, and it's a good time. So if you're a Patreon, it's nice to see you in there. If you're not a Patreon, sign up and you can come hang out.
And with that segue, let's tell you about Patreon.
I shall. So thank you to all our Patreon supporters. Eric will come up with an adjective for you by the time I'm done speaking. But these are the individuals personally supporting us. All open source initiatives, CommandBox, ForgeBox, ColdBox, ContentBox, TestBox, and all the other boxes. I got to take bigger breaths when I talk about our box portfolio. Folio box, whatever. ForgeBox, CFCasts, everything else. You can support us here on Patreon. We'll get the link out there. Don't forget, we do have annual memberships. If you pay by the year, you save 10%, which is great for businesses, but also great for anybody, I would think. I like saving 10%. So we have bronze packages on up. You get the ForgeBox Pro and CFCast subscriptions as a perk. All Patreon supporters have their own profile badge on the community website. You have your own private forum access on our community Slack team as well, the Box team. And of course, you get to live stream with the Kiwi, Gavin, and friends. So community.ortussolutions.com will get that link out there to you as well.
And I would love to read the names of our spirited Patreon supporters today.
There it is.
Thank you so much to John Wilson with Synaptrix, Brian Giddinelli of Haggerty Builder Sport Reg, Jordan Clark, Eric Hoffman, Gary Knight, Mario Rodriguez, Giancarlo Gomez, David Bellinger, Dan Card, Jonathan Perrette, Jeffrey McGee with Sunstar Media, Dean Monder, Will DeBrune, Joseph Lamery, Don Bellamy, Jan Yannick, Laxma Turchahadi, Carl von Stetten, Jeremy Adams, Didier Lesnicki, Matthew Clemente, Daniel Garcia, Scott Steinbeck of Agri Tracking Systems, Ben Nadell, Brett DeLine, Kai Koenig, Charlie Earhart, Jonas Erickson, Jason Diger, Sean Oden, Matthew Darby, Ross Phillips, Edgardo Cabezas, Patrick Flynn, Stephanie Mongi, John Wish, Kevin Wright, and Peter Amiri. Thank you for your support of Ortus Solutions and especially of this podcast. Well, thanks for joining us today, everybody. We hope you have a great one, and we will see you again next week.
Yes, yeah, we will. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for all the chatters. See ya.
Show notes for this episode can be found at cfmlnews.modernizeordie.io, where you can also subscribe to your favorite podcast player like Spotify or iTunes. We also have the link to YouTube to find more videos just like this. The music used in this podcast is under a royalty-free license from Sound.com and Blue Tree Audio.